I-33 female read my husband's 37 journal, and in it he says that he hates me and hopes I die. Original post. My husband has kept a semi-regular journal throughout our 4-year relationship. He does not keep it hidden, and up until now, I've always respected his privacy. We had a heated conversation and my gut told me to read it. So after we left for work, I did. He wrote several times that he hates me, and at one point he said when I was sick, he hoped I would die. When I read those words, I packed up me and our baby and went to a friend's where I'm staying now. I took pictures of all the pages. I told him I just need some space to cool off after our conversation and I will be home soon. I booked with my therapist and contacted a lawyer. We had a rough patch recently that lasted about 2 weeks. It was a dark time, but we pulled through. There was no violence, no moments where I was afraid of him, just sincere conversations about difficult feelings. The notes of hatred correspond with that rough patch. The rest of the journal is tame and reflects the men I know and love, mostly little self-pep talks around work and family stuff, goals, habit tracking. He has sent me several warm messages since I left. He says he's glad I'm taking space for myself, that he looks forward to reconnecting when I come home, that it's okay to have little hiccups, and that he loves me, etc. I was sure our relationship was over the moment I read that he hates me, or even the moment I felt the need to violate his privacy. But the warm messages and the rest of the journal have me wavering a little. I understand the need to blow off steam when things are tense, and journaling is a healthy way to do that. But never in even our darkest moments have I fantasized about his death. Splitting up maybe, but this feels so sinister. I don't know how I could ever feel safe around him again. Is this just healthy venting and I'm overreacting here? Has anyone else had similar thoughts about his spouse that they then got over? Or is this a man I need to protect myself and my baby from? Edit to add context. The rough patch was about his feelings for another woman. He didn't cheat, but his friendship with her makes me uncomfortable. The part of the journal where he says he hates me was written as a love letter to her. He says he thinks about me dying and being replaced. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. He wishes you dead? And no, you are not overreacting. That is how he feels about you. All the other is an act. Girl, check if he has taken life insurance on your name with him as a beneficiary. Especially because they're fighting over the fact that he has feelings for another woman. Not a good combination of factors. Yeah, I don't want to wind up on the wrong end of a podcast. I would be genuinely scared if I knew my husband had thought of those thoughts and then gone to the effort of writing them down. I don't think it's safe for you and your baby to stay with him, especially if mere weeks ago he was wanting to replace you with another woman he has feelings for and was hoping you would die so he can move on with her easily. That's horrifying. If he wanted to be with someone else rather than you, the normal thing to write in a journal would be about leaving you amicably and then seeing the other woman, and feeling sad about leaving the mother of his child. Wanting you dead instead is a giant, massive red flag. And if I was in your shoes, I don't think I could ever trust him again. I'm married 17 years and I've never wished my spouse would die. Like what? Does he know you've seen this? He just left it out like he wanted you to see it. And you are the mother of his child. He doesn't know I've seen it. He has always left it out. This is really freaking scary. He didn't even bother hiding all that vitriol where you could never find it. He left it right out in the open, almost like he wanted you to see it. Please do not be swayed by those sweet little stupid texts. I'd always have someone with you if you're going to be in the house with him. I really don't want to see you on the news. Mini update. Thank you so much for all the advice and words of encouragement. Some of it was tough to read, but still deeply appreciated. Wanted to do an update because a lot of people were concerned for my safety. I took a commenter's advice and sent the pictures to a trusted friend. She pointed out that a passage I initially read as "every day I'd think about telling her" actually very clearly says "killing her." I guess my brain couldn't comprehend that at first. I received a ton of helpful perspective and support, but that comment in particular might have saved my life. After I digested that, I called the crisis line and they were quite helpful in talking me through the shock. They also put me in touch with a center that's helping me get more affordable legal help. Bought some more time for my husband. Told him I'm enjoying getting out of town and I'd like to stay an extra night or two. I have therapy tomorrow and an appointment with a social worker to make a safety plan. I feel like I have a good crew of family, friends, and professionals supporting me. Absolutely zero regrets now about reading his journal. My gut told me something was off, but I couldn't have imagined a worst-case scenario as bad as this. I'm so glad the inner alarm bells were louder than my conscience this time. Nothing about this marriage is worth risking my life to salvage. Now for the full update. Just want to say a huge thank you to this community for helping me through a challenging time. Your comments and messages have been such a comfort, and I'm so touched by the kindness of internet strangers. At the suggestion of the social worker, I reported his journal to the local police, and that was unsurprisingly a 1 out of 10 experience. The officer I spoke to chided me for reading his journal, spoke about his reasonable expectation of privacy, and basically threatened to tell my husband I had reported him. I had to firmly advocate for myself and stress that I was afraid for my life. It was an awful conversation, but now there is at least a record which includes photos of the journal. The family lawyer I spoke with advised me to file a protection order right away. The order will ban him from all contact with me and our child, bar him from our residence, my workplace, and any other places I request. He would then have to prove to a judge that he is a fit parent to be able to see his daughter again, and then we would go to mediation to try and agree on what visitation would look like. Another wrench in this situation is that we own a business together. I have an appointment with another lawyer this week to discuss what my options are there. The business was my idea. I'm confident I can run it without him, and I want to. But it's put a lot of time into it, and it's the main source of income for both of us right now. It's a good money maker, and I'm worried he'd fight me tooth and nail on this. We take turns going in, so I went as usual on Saturday with a friend and a baseball bat. I continued my act of intending to reconcile, doing video calls with a baby, etc. While I was at our workplace, I found another journal. Page after page love letters to this other woman going back months. The progression from "I liked seeing you at a grocery store" to "I drove past your house today" was wild. He writes about how he's deeply in love with her, can't wait to marry her, etc. He wrote about every interaction he's ever had with her, and the poor woman seems completely innocent and oblivious. Even what he perceived as flirting seems like basic politeness. He mentions a few other times that he wants me to die. The most recent entry was from a day before. He writes to her that he thinks I might be breaking up with him, but that's fine because he never liked me that much anyway. If he's upset about anything, it's just about losing the house and how the breakup will be perceived by our friends and community. Curious if people think I should warn the other woman. It's my instinct not to, at least not before the ink dries in our impending paperwork. I was already concerned about how he might react to being served with a protection order. Most worried that he might try to sabotage our business or trash the house. Given how preoccupied he seems to be with his public image, I made a plan to confront him about the journals and use the protection order as leverage. Here's how it went down. I left the journal and my baby with my friend and went to our house with 2 trusted male friends and a baseball bat. They waited on our porch. I told my husband that if they heard anything louder than a speaking voice, they would come in with a bat. I told him I had to tell him something he wouldn't like to hear, and he needed to know that I had already taken steps to protect myself. I told him I had read the journals, specifically what he said about wanting me to die and thinking every day about ending me. I said I'd taken photos, that they are backed up, and a trusted source also has copies, that I also have the original copy of the journal full of love letters. I wondered until this moment if he had intended for me to find them, but he was obviously blindsided. He tried to say it was just venting, but I told him I would not be taking any chances or entertaining anything he has to say about it. That after reading what I read, I will never trust him or feel safe around him ever again. I told him that no one that knows him knows about this yet. The men on the porch just know that I'm breaking up with him and need support. This was true, aside from the friend that I called to stay with and the other friend I sent the photos to who lives on the other side of the country. I said I'm willing to protect his reputation here if he cooperates with me. I told him that I don't even have to ruin his chances with the other woman, but I can. I said that he can either do what I need to feel safe, or I can have that safety court ordered. He asked what I wanted, and I said I wanted him to give up the business. We'll sort out the details after I speak to the other lawyer, but for now I want his keys and I'll be changing the passwords and everything. He didn't put up any kind of fight. He didn't want to hear anything about what it would look like to go through the courts. He didn't ask about our baby. He just calmly got up and got the keys and asked if I wanted anything else. I told him that any communication with me should be about separation logistics only, like arranging a time for me to collect the rest of my things. Since then, he has blowing up my phone saying I know his heart, let's walk back from the edge, let's talk to a therapist, his sorry's words hurt me, etc. Each time, I just tell him he's crossing my boundaries, and he backs off. He apparently told his mom and sister everything and they're supporting him in getting help. He's been cooperative so far. He's interviewing for a new job, seeing a therapist, and updating me on his movements, though I didn't ask for this. I've temporarily moved in with my parents. My commute to work is longer, but I have help with baby and home-cooked dinners. Starting to settle into new routines, doing so much therapy and yoga. I inherited a small cabin before my husband and I met. It is currently being renovated, and the original plan was to move in there with my husband and baby when it's done. The cabin is actually in my mother's name because she's never trusted my husband and wanted me to shield it from him in case of a divorce. Thank you, Mom. So I will have a permanent home for me and baby very soon. The dust still needs to settle, and it could get worse before it gets better, but I'm optimistic at this point. I'm confident I'm going to come out the other side of this as a badass single mother with an incredible child, a thriving business, and an adorable little home. Honestly, the thought of having all those things on my own without my husband is so freeing. I've got a great village supporting me. Thank you all so much for being part of it. I am so thankful to read this. I've been thinking about you the last 2 days. So happy you advocated for yourself, took the correct measures, and didn't accept anything less than what you deserve in this life. The road ahead isn't ever as long as we think it is, and it's good you left and are able to heal and move forward. Thanks for keeping me in your thoughts. He doesn't care about his child. That is what's most shocking to me. He was always such an attentive father, but he's not fighting for her at all. I'd love to know exactly why OP's mother didn't trust the husband. What did she see in him? Sometimes it's just your gut. My stepsister had a boyfriend that eventually was found to be on several hookup sites and such. He never was violent, but gave off stalker vibes when she eventually broke up with him. Went so far that I was escorting her when she was meeting people because he would show up at her apartment. Separate from each other, my mother, I, and even my grandmother, who had met my stepsister once and had no contact to her at all, just had this bad gut feeling starting before he was found on those sites when thinking of her. Gut feelings are weird, man. My mom once told me regarding my now ex-husband but then fiancé that he seems like the kind of guy that would just up and unalive his family one night. And everyone would say, "Holy crap," we never saw that coming. It was just a specific and jarring comment. My ex-husband honestly seemed so sweet and innocent. When things started going downhill, he started stalking me, physically intimidating me, cornering me and towering over me. Told me he'll ensure I'm destitute when this is all done. He literally flipped to a different guy, and I think my mom saw something I didn't. I had a boyfriend sleepover when I lived at my mom's, and she didn't sleep all night. He was in my bed, I was on a couch. She was strict about sharing. It was her first time meeting him. I commented that I couldn't understand why she had an issue, when she'd never had an issue sleeping when I'd had past boyfriends sleep over on a couch. Turned out, he was emotionally abusive, and she sensed that something wasn't right about him at the first meeting. Sometimes people outside a relationship pick up a feeling, a vibe, an off-comment that those who are in a relationship can't see until later on. Last story. I still can't believe how my boyfriend changed since we discovered that I was pregnant. So me and my boyfriend have been together for 7 years and we are living together since 5. For 3 years, my boyfriend was never a sweet, romantic, and caring person with me. I still can't remember one romantic or caring thing he did for me, and I thought a lot during these 3 years of leaving him or not, because all he was doing was just living off his parents' money, drinking, watching football on the TV, and casually remembering that I too exist, and talking with me. Trust me when I say that after 3 years like this, I was having enough and was thinking to leave him, because I want a man, and not an amoeba that only remember about me for meals, watching TV with him at But then, out of the blue, he changed. And I still can't believe that he's the same. His parents unfortunately died 4 years ago, and just a week after the funeral, I found out that I was pregnant. I was extremely in doubt of telling him or just terminate, because a man like him wouldn't be better with a child. But then he found out my positive pregnancy test and told me that he was super happy while I was thinking about what to do. Since the day after, he completely changed. He started to be caring, sweet, romantic, quit drinking, and started to take good care of me and himself. So after 2 weeks of his change, somehow I decided to give him a one last chance to prove that he was seriously changed. But I admit that I was extremely skeptical. I didn't believe him at first, because to me, it was impossible that an amoeba like him could change seriously, and even when I was pregnant. But trust me, he completely changed. During my pregnancy, he became another man. He started helping me like with dressing, putting on shoes, making me craving meals, and this were the first times he was cooking. And when the time came, he even asked to be in the room with me to watch the birth of our child, and I accepted it. This wasn't just a phase, because when our daughter was born, he still continued to act caring and sweet with me and with our daughter. He always made me feel loved, secure, and finally special. The other important things he did were getting in shape, returning to the university to take his dream degree while working to maintain us. So now he has his degree. Our daughter came to his big day and even yelled, "Daddy!" making me cry like a baby, haha, and found a pretty good job since a few months. I still can't believe that he is the man that 4 years ago was an amoeba, and now he became the best boyfriend and dad that I can dream. And he's spending a lot of time with our daughter, and they created a special bond, leaving me stunned. And another thing to add is that 2 weeks ago he asked me to marry him, and seeing his drastic change made me say yes. Even his friends, my friends, and my family are still in shock and disbelief with his drastic change. So yeah, the situation is this, and sincerely I'm still in shock that he is the same guy 4 years ago. But somehow, and for some reasons that I don't know, he is totally another man, and I can't even think of someone better. P.S. He quit drinking and now 4 years since his last drink. Now for the comments. Good for you. Sounds like your family is important to him enough that he made major changes. I wish you much happiness in your future. What a wonderful story. I was honestly expecting the exact opposite when I read the title, and I'm so happy to see that I was wrong. Congratulations on your daughter and marriage. Family deaths can lead to lots of serious reflection. He probably was already doing a lot of soul searching from their passing, and then you told him you were pregnant and he stepped up. Quitting drinking was a huge step. That alone probably led to a huge change. Congrats. Sounds like my dad. He liked drinking and fighting, lol, before my older sister was born. After she was born, he just stopped. Hasn't been drinking since. Just before I was born, he found his high-end job. That is after they struggled financially because they were so young when they had my sister. He built a house with a garage for us when I was 4. Now they've been together for 43 years. People can change. And I'm so happy that is the case for your boyfriend. Wish you all the best.